Come and join our school community using the link below. We've put everything in one place, including the streaming platform shows. Bare knuckle boxing carries a vicious and brutal stigma.
Whether traditional dating or modern dating is the right thing to do.
Like, my entire perception of myself changed when I had the knowledge that I was going to go bald.
I think for men, one of the biggest insecurities is their hair.
So what you tend to notice is that both partners need to work in order to make ends meet.
Eventually led to the comeback.
I'm going to twist again. I'm going to go to the next level.
Yep. So I went a bit wild for like 2-3 years.
Comes easy. You can talk to anybody, and then you have your base. You have your like kind of baseline volume. So I don't talk much lower than this now.
As you just saw, one-to-one calls, live group calls twice per week. Take yourself from last man to first man and unlock more and more benefits with each passing week. It'll also be the official home of the 1M podcast moving forward. With 1M House, we have a dedicated filming location to make this happen. Additionally, all the courses and future courses are included. All the old videos from YouTube. I'll see you there. Enjoy the video. Right then, guys, welcome back to the most rudimental setup in the game. This is probably worse than the garage setup, but it is what it is for the time being. I'm going out to Granada again in 2 weeks, so it's just no point. I've got my camera as well, but I just can't be bothered to set it up yet. My phone is I've got storage issues. I'm gonna have to address it, which means I can't go for a walk. It's beautiful around here, so it's a shame, but I can't go for a walk and record content like I used to. But I'll get it fixed in the next few weeks, so don't worry, guys. But I want to jump straight into this video, and in this video, I want to talk about something a topic that I love, okay? And this is something that I love about this brand, love about this channel. Dare I say it, actually love about myself, which is a strange thing to say, but I think it's true. And it's my channel, my content, and the stuff that I talk about is for the everyman. It's for the every guy that didn't have some esoteric, unbelievable quality. The Olympics has just been on. How many of you were the fastest man in the world? How many of you were top 20 fastest man in the world and you can get paid to do it? How many of you were top like 7 triple jumpers in the world? Do you know what I mean? Like it's hard to do. It's hard to be at that level at anything. How many of you were top like 1% maths and stuff like that, right? Obviously 99% of you weren't. So how many of you will look at somebody like Kylian Mbappe getting paid 2 million a week and you go, fuck, he's my age, what am I doing with my life, right? The rest of us are just normal guys. The rest of us are just normal people trying to get through life, trying to make the best of ourselves. We're B and C students. We don't come from a rich family. It takes like 10 years just to figure out what the fuck you should be doing from the start anyway. And it just makes life really, really difficult. And let me just centralize this, guys. There we go. I'll edit it in editing, it'll be fine. But for the rest of us, we are normal guys. And this is why I love people like Dana White, okay? Dana White is somebody that I really hold in high regard. Somebody like, you know, there's stories out there. Mark Cuban, Simon Cowell, I think came from a good background, but he had a similar journey to some people. But Dana White is is the working man, you know, from Boston. And I just love his story. So Dana White was doing, and this should give encouragement to you guys. And then off the back of that, I'm going to give you some advice, okay? But Dana White was doing boxercise classes in Boston. So he's basically a group personal trainer, making basically no money, okay? He then wanted to acquire the UFC. 2 brothers that he knew, the Fertitta brothers, he asked them if they could acquire it for him. They put $2 million in. He said it's a great opportunity. He owned 9% of the company. Okay, so Dana White was 31 years old when this happened. He owned 9% of a real dodgy shit makeshift UFC back then. The Fertitta brothers owned obviously 91% and put the $2 million in. So Dana, really, when you think about it, because he fled Boston from the Boston mob and went over to Vegas, Dana really was broke. Okay, so Dana was 31 years old, broke, a former boxercise coach. You know, he owns 9% of a company. In total, apparently it was worth, so he would have had about £140,000, okay, that he was worth based on the company value. The problem is he can't take that out, right? That's just sat there. So what he was earning from the UFC, because it made a loss for 3 years, was probably nothing. So he was probably just living off savings or doing other things on the side, or maybe paying himself like a small amount of money to live on. The Fertitta brothers wanted to get out of the UFC. They wanted to sell it. They said, this is dead. It wasn't until like 3-4 years later, when The Ultimate Fighter came on, that they started making loads of money from TV deals. I think it might have been Spike TV that picked it up. Today, Dana White's worth like 600-700 million. He might even be a billionaire, right? These stories I love because they're so natural. They're so organic. It's not, you know, I've been around some rich kids that are like, my dad gave me like 21 million at 21 just because. It's just like, fuck, man. Like, it's going to take me my whole life just to get to where you started. Do you know what I mean? There's scenarios like that. And what I love about Dana White is he's one of the everyman. Do you know, everybody can be like Dana. He didn't make his money through like Love Island because he's super handsome. Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. He's just like some normal guy with ambition who didn't even have the money to start the business in the first place, who owned a small percentage that made a fortune. And, you know, at 31, I'm 31 today, Dana White was in a much worse position than me. Like, I'm significantly, and I don't want to make this video about me, it's about you guys, but it gives you so much encouragement to be like, a guy that is worth 600 million today, if not more. I am in a substantially better position than he was at the same age. And the point I'm making here, and why I wanted to mention that and make this video mainly for you guys, is because that's normal. That is the normal route of progression for most people, especially most men. These are the early stages of the male advantages. And I see so many young men out there. They might be 21 years old. They might be making £2,000 a month, and they're depressed. They're like, I'm only making £2,000 a month. There's guys out there making 10, 20, whatever. And look, aim high. Go for it. The more you can make, the better. Especially younger. Start racking that money up. Go for it. I'm never going to discourage you guys. But you've got to understand, for example, the UK average is like 36,000 per year, which is about 3,000 and something. It's like 3,300 per month or something like that. If you're making anywhere around that at a young age, just smashing it. And with the aggregation of marginal age, everything can change. Literally within 1 year, you can go from, I'm broke, but 2 of the investments that I put in play have just popped off. Now I've got 50,000 to play with, and I'm 22 years old. You know, you could do that from 27 to 28 and go, wow, I've actually finally got some breathing space. I'm in a great position. Like, if you're just accumulating assets and your money's going up slowly, you're just getting in a better and better position. And I think it's really important to have your role models as people who, like Steve Harvey, for example, people who struggled for years, who couldn't break through. John Hamm, the actor. Guys like this that struggled, that went on a normal journey, whose mum and dad aren't already in the industry. Do you know what I mean? And all this kind of shit. They didn't have, like, a loan from their parents, or, you know, they weren't a super genius and stuff like that. It's just normal guys that have been able to make, like, 10 million. 100 million, something like that, right? And they've come from a normal background, and they didn't really start making money until they were like 37 years old. Like, things like that are important to see, because I see, like, you should always aim high, but I see so many young guys these days just massively depressed and just like, where's my life going? Where am I? And you just think to yourself, you're so far ahead, the fact you're even thinking about this stuff already, and that's fantastic, and you should take some pride in the fact that you're doing that. Now, should you aim for the moon? Of course you should, guys. But I don't want guys being like 23 years old, making £3,000 a month, going, I'm a bum. Because, put it this way, every young guy that I've met for the last like year or so, because they've seen my content and whatever, everyone thinks they need to be at a certain level. And it can't be everybody, but it's crazy. It can't be everybody making this money. But every single young guy that I meet is like, yeah, I'm doing like 10 grand a month. I'm doing 10 grand a month. I'm doing 10 grand a month. 10 grand a month has now become normal. And it's silly. It's silly, guys. 10 grand a month is a crazy amount of money, okay? It puts you in like the top 3% of earners in most countries. Like, that's insane. Most people go their whole life not getting near those figures. If you're making 10 grand a month and it's legit, well done. I fucking believe in you. If you're not, don't lie. There's no need. But it's almost become like this whole thing now. If you're not making 10 grand a month, you're a bum. And it's like, you're a brokey, you've got a job. Like, guys, be really fucking proud. If you're making 4 grand a month at like under 25, be really proud of that, because that is a crazy amount of money. And it's what you do with it rather than what you're earning. In terms of life setup, investments, everything, like, that's incredible. As long as your bills are low, you can do so much with that money. You can have an amazing life. I was just talking about one of my friends a minute ago, and he's so happy. He's got his missus, 2 kids. They've got a house together. He has to work a lot and whatnot, but he was just, I'm so happy. He was like, I got no responsibilities, no stress. I come home at night. My 2 kids want to play with me. He was like, I've got the best life ever. Like, I enjoy football on a weekend. I watch sports. He was like, I'm just so happy with my life. I pop to the gym now and then. He's probably happier than I am. It's the old Tommy Shelby quote when Winston Churchill said in Peaky Blinders, do you have a gardener, Mr. Shelby? And he was like, I have 3 gardeners, 3 generations of men with no ambition who are all happier than I will ever be. And there's this narrative now, and look, I encourage you guys to push for the moon. Like I said, I'll repeat that again, right? But at the end of the day, if you're making like 4 grand a month, 5 grand a month, and you're like, I really need to get to 10, hey, look, push, enjoy yourself, go after more, go after 20, 30, 40, whatever. It gives you an even better life. But don't feel down. Like, that's fucking incredible. If you're under a certain age, that's unbelievable. And even if you're like 30 years old making 4 grand a month, and you've balanced your life and you've got low bills and you're happy and you've got a nice life set up and a beautiful girlfriend and you know a nice gym, a nice social life, and you're happy, be happy, go for it. Strive for other things in life, target other things in life, you know. And I encourage everybody to go for the utmost success, but please don't get down at a young age, because like I said, 10 grand a month has somehow become normal now, and it's like, that's an astronomical fee. That's an astronomical amount of money. And, you know, it's guys like Dana White that you should be following. It's guys like Dana White that should give you hope. Not the one-off superstar. The one-off superstar who's 25 years old, who's worth 100 million. You know, who started a tech company. It's great to dream big. Probably not going to happen. The guys like Dana White, the guys like John Hamm, you've got to find these realistic stories. Simon Cowell moved back in with his parents at 30, 31 years old. I've read his book. And he said, I was actually happy. He said, because I was running the business the wrong way. He said, and the second time around, I said to my parents, I'm going to do it right this time. And he ended up making, obviously, hundreds of millions. Now, the key you guys have got to take away from this video right now is when Simon Cowell said, I'm going to do it right this time. And do you know what that means? It takes time to learn life. Life is a skill. It's the aggregation of marginal age. Simon Cowell at 30, 31 went, I actually know what to do this time around. I know how to do it. I know the mistakes I made. Let me do it properly. And within a few years, bang, top of the music industry. That's the faith you've got to have. That when you're younger, it's tough. When you're younger, you make mistakes. I've made mistakes as well. The things that I'm doing now are so high level compared to what I was doing before. You're getting results 10 times faster. You've got to remember that in life, guys. And if I said to every single one of you right now, when you hit 35, I'm going to give you 100 million, would you take that deal? Of course you would. So what does that tell us? That tells us that it's the uncertainty that gives you the fear. It's the uncertainty that maybe I might be that guy who's in his 30s who's still a bum, who's still living in the hometown. If you took that fear away and you said you're guaranteed at 35 to be worth 100 million, a lot of guys would go, I'll take that deal. So what's the difference? What's the difference with like grinding in the early years and striving for something in the future and whatnot? And being like, yeah, I'm not making 10 grand a month now. I'm not rich or whatnot, but I'm in a very good situation. I'm working towards something. If you knew it was going to be a possibility, if you knew it was going to be a guarantee, you wouldn't worry. But it's the uncertainty where it's year after year after year after year. And that's what you need to fight. You need to have that Simon Cowell mentality of, I'm going to do it right this time. Or I'm going to take my time. I'm going to be patient. And I'm going to put all these things in place so that I've actually got that solidity. Because if you're making like 3-4 grand a month and you're making some decent investments, you're putting a decent amount of money away, you've got low bills and whatnot, you got no stress, you got money in the bank, and an opportunity comes along at 35 years old and you take it and it 10x is your net worth, then, you know, great. That's fantastic. Life is very individualized and you can't be comparing with other people. Comparison is the thief of joy. But when you compare with people like Dana White, John Hamm, the Simon Cowell story and whatnot, realistic, Steve Harvey, for example, realistic people who had to work from the ground up. And it wasn't until they were in their like mid-30s, early 40s until life went right for them. Then you go, oh, Like, that's normal. Like, everyone loves to hear about the superstar 22-year-old billionaire. Do you know what I mean? Because it makes a good headline, it makes a good story, but it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen for everybody else. It doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen for anybody else. So you can't really base your life on that because it's such a rarity. It's like, you know, when you're a kid and you're like, I'm going to be the new Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm going to be the new LeBron James. It's probably not going to happen. But when you go, do you know what? I am going to follow in the footsteps of like a Dana White, and I'm just going to hustle and be the hardest working guy in the room, and I'm going to have unrelenting belief, and I'm going to give myself until I'm 40 years old. You start making long-term decisions, you're going to put a lot in place, guys, and you'd be surprised because I'm 31 years old. I feel like my life's only just started. I feel like I've got everything ahead of me. I feel like the best years are ahead of me. I was talking to somebody the other day that said that when I was 40-year-old man, I felt like I was in my prime, physically, mentally, everything. And I was just like, wow, to think that's 9 years away, it just gives me so much hope and encouragement because this person's not even in shape. And I was just like, oh my God, like how incredible is that? And, you know, we're average guys, we're normal guys, and we just work hard. That's what self-improvement is. We're on an average guy journey and trying to make it better. And the average guy doesn't get to 18 and go, do you know what? I founded a tech company and I'm the youngest billionaire in the world. It just doesn't happen. And I feel like people lose so much. And I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm just saying, once I give you that realistic motivation, the everyman journey, you get sensible and you go, okay, let me give myself 10 years here, rather than by this time next year I want to have 10 million, because I used to do that when I was younger and it's not feasible because you just don't have the knowledge. You're like, how would I have ever put that together? And then when you see these guys, you know, you find somebody who's been on a journey where it was like, it took me 15 years from 20 to 35, figured it all out, put it in place, and then things started going right. You're like, oh, well, that's very, like, it's, you got to get it in your head, guys. That's normal. That's a normal man's journey. It's very rare, like, you know, people go, I want to be the new KSI, Logan Paul, Iman Gadzhi. It's like, you've named 3 guys. I want to be Mr. Beast. It's like, you've named one guy. One guy out of how many have tried? And look, if you're the next Lionel Messi, good luck. Fantastic. Unbelievable. God-given talent. I fully back you. Chances are you're not. So you're probably going to have to get realistic and dream big in a longer term sense and find your way to win. One of my favourite quotes from any film is Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler when he sat down with Kevin Garnett and he's like, KG, this is you. This is how you do it. You get angry on the court, you can prove your way that way. And he was like, this is no different than what I'm doing. He was like, this is my way. This is how I win. That is the everyman quote, okay? This is your way. This is how you win. Figure that out. It's going to be a much more bog standard, average method. It might be messy. It might be ugly. Might not be glamorous. It's going to take maybe 10, 15 years. It's going to be a grind. It's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of stress. You're not a prince or princess. You're not part of a royal family. You're not a celebrity son. Hey, you've got the same route as me. It's just hard work. It's just grind. It's just focus. It's just discipline. It's just learning along the way. It's humility. It's all these things. It's making mistakes, reinvestment, living like shit for a little while. Do you know what I mean? It's all these things, guys. And I couldn't give you any better advice at a young age. So stick in there, boys. Sorry about the setup. It even looks grainy on here. Ridiculous. But we'll all be good soon.